Welcome to the latest episode of the Design Comedy, whose intent is to put the spotlight on the protagonists of the design industry, along with the immense and incomparable legacy of expertise, innovation, and territorial bonds which constitute the lifeblood of their growth. Today, we're going to present you a company that is one of a kind, one that would normally have been identified as belonging to the sector of finishes, but for some time now, its importance has extended far beyond this sphere thanks to its design research, which has made its products authentic protagonists of interior decoration and a distillation of engineering, creativity, and customization. We're talking about Lualdi, a long-established company engaged in the production of doors and furnishing systems. With us today we have CEO Alberto Lualdi and Contract and Marketing Director Pierluigi Lualdi.
Hello, and thank you for the invitation.
Hello. Thank you for being here. So, we are ready to depart on this pleasant trip through the world of design. Lualdi is practically a household name, like so many other companies in the industry which cultivate a typically Italian bond with their origins. You represent the fourth generation, don't you?
Well, we've actually reached the fifth generation, which has started to come on board.
Fine. So how many family members work in this company?
All in all, 7. Myself, Pierluigi, with our cousins, Giuseppe and Olga, and then our children, Marco, Stefano, and Chiara.
Do you all get on, or are there heated discussions even during Sunday lunch?
Like any family worth its salt, different opinions are aired, but we've managed to reach the fifth generation nevertheless.
I would say that you are familiar with the format, the method.
We discuss things and know how to smooth out the differences. Let's say that we know everyone's weak points.
How are you organized? I mean, there are 7 of you, and I imagine everyone has their own role. We know that Pierluigi handles marketing and project design, so he is consequently engaged in contract business.
Giuseppe is more involved in production and product engineering, while Olga handles communications.
So we can say that there is a Lualdi at the head of each department.
Let's say in the key departments, yes.
I wanted to ask Alberto to run me through, in general terms, how the business first started. If I'm not mistaken, it dates back to the mid-19th century?
Exactly. The business started with our great-grandfather Carlo towards the mid-19th century. He was a skilled cabinet maker who, among other things, made the furnishings for the Savini restaurant when it first opened in Milan inside the Galleria Vittorio Emanuele in 1858. From there, the business went on growing, which brings us to the recent historical period that started in the 50s. In the 50s, Lualdi produced window and door frames, wood window frames, mainly for the construction industry, which was heavily engaged in rebuilding Milan in the post-war period. By sheer chance, we happened to come into contact with the world of interior design when making the windows for an apartment in Via Numa Pompilio. The architect in charge was Anna Ferrieri from Studio Gardella, later to marry Giulio Castelli, and together they founded Cartel. They had been commissioned to design this apartment, for which we had made all the doors and windows. This was our first encounter with the world of interior design, and it led to other projects, which in their turn enabled us to get to know Caccia Dominioni, at the time of the restoration work on the convent of Frati Minori in Via Farini. In the course of a site meeting, someone had mentioned Lualdi as a possible window supplier. And Caccia Dominioni commented, "I do not know Lualdi, but I hear all of Milan speak well of them." So we started work on this first building site, the convent, and later on, in 1962, he commissioned us to make the windows for engineer Leopoldo Pirelli's villa in Via Cavalieri del Santo Sepolcro, here in Milan. A new project, a new villa, and a beautiful home. We made all the windows and the shutters, and it was then that the architect asked us if we had ever made or able to make furniture. The answer was no, but we thought, why not have a go at it? This prompted us to do other things and extend the business activity beyond the ambit of doors and windows. So we made all the furnishings to specification: kitchens, wardrobes, floors, tables, and all the other elements making up the interior furnishings, until we came to the doors, and the architect posed a problem by saying, "This is a new project, and all the furnishings are new, but the doors available on the market have nothing to do with the design intent of the project, in terms of style and workmanship." This is a classic example of creativity being combined with technology. Together they generated the first example of industrial design applied to a door. The resulting door concept is still a bestseller and goes under the name of Modello LCD, the initials of Lualdi, Caccia, Dominioni. To put a seal on the concept of collaboration, we recently added 62 to its name to further testify to the historic significance of this product, which continues to be an extremely valid solution, a most avant-garde and modern product when first launched, and equally valid today for small projects.
Well, we can say that this was the first step towards the contract business.
Yes, this really determined the future development of Lualdi in the years to come, because it led to collaborations with all the great masters of design who were destined to make the history of Italian design, such as Vico Magistretti, Gaio Lenti, Cini Boeri and Gianfranco Frattini. So the company gradually phased out its production of windows and doors to focus entirely on custom furnishings for residential projects, offices and banks, while greatly extending the business scope and activity of the company.
Però faccio un passo indietro nel 1859, quando siamo a Magenta e durante la famosa battaglia del Risorgimento.
Now, I would like to go back in time to 1859, to Magenta, during the famous Battle of the Risorgimento, when the Franco-Piedmontese coalition confronted the Austrians. There was one Lualdi among the French troops who repaired the rifle butts and wood parts.
Quite true. So the family legend would have it. There's actually a bill, an addition presented to the French general, an attendant of General McMahon, for work executed on behalf of the general.
We can therefore say that the bond between Wood and the Lualdi family dates back to the time of this battle.
Certainly. This is the earliest document we have to this effect.
Passed down.
Exactly.
The first family legacy. Now, for Pierluigi, how did the company affect the transition from craft production to industrialization?
We can say that a strong boost to industrialization was provided by the introduction of doors as an independent element of production and distribution, originating from custom furnishings made to specification. When the door, as such, started to attract public attention as an element in its own right, this gave birth to a line of distribution in which doors were sold alone. Before that, doors were a product that completed an interior, one which started from kitchens and went on to include storage units, wall panels, and doors. However, with the introduction of the LCD door initially, the one mentioned by Alberto, followed by the Porta Super, particularly in 1982, a remarkable change took place. A new plant was opened in a small town called Bezero, close to Mercallo, entirely given over to the production of these doors, which we still look on today as being a milestone in door design. This can really be considered as year zero because prior to this model, doors were merely traditional elements, the object that went with the building, and the external doors and windows, in one sole product. The Porta Super encapsulated a number of innovations I would like to briefly recap. The presence of a metal counterframe, an aluminium casing in the absence of an architrave, which added up to a very crisp design for the 1980s and one which is still valid today, or rather, it is the essence of what is around today. We can say that it was the forerunner of the minimalist style, in which the rounded edge of the door panel, polyester lacquered, which is inherited from LCD, together with the reversibility of the door swing, which may be left or right, making it a truly pioneering product. It gave way to the door production the company is best known for, rather than its manufacturing, because even though in actual fact we are quite different from any other door manufacturer, because our DNA and culture lies in custom-made furnishings and design. So the door is never really a standalone element, but something that is fruit of an interior design project.
Certainly. Let's say that when a company proceeds to industrialize its product, there is always a risk of losing the authentic codes of its DNA, those relating to the product but also to the company, and consequently the more artisanal aspects. There is a risk they will die out. This is not the case, or has been the case with Lualdi.
Non capita, o anzi non è capitato. C'è un segreto per questo tipo di...
What is the secret behind the accomplishments of this type of growth without losing these values?
There is no secret. There is only curiosity and a desire for constant renewal. We tend to be known as door specialists. We were probably the first market players to introduce the concept of doors as an element of interior design. Doors have a surface of 2 vertical meters, so they make a significant and highly impacting mark on the decoration of an apartment. Therefore, the fact that our company has successfully preserved its tradition, quality, and above all, manufacturing awareness has enabled us also for the future to constantly adapt our production to the period and to the designer, to deserve the reputation I referred to earlier, but also to interpret the aims of the interior designer, at times even on the grounds of individual projects. The product range has obviously been extended a great deal compared to past years, without, however, detracting from its quality and design content. Manufacturing quality, and above all, continuing to keep pace with the times and be aware of the need for sustainability.
Ecco, infatti il tema poi arriva anche a quello, nel senso che il prodotto si evolve, l'azienda si evolve.
This brings us to another topic. Products evolve and companies grow, but there are other aspects, such as the sustainable use of materials and finishes, let's call them eco-friendly, which make the difference also in this industry. Is this true for you too?
Yes, Paolo, of course it is. But let me say one thing. Not only product sustainability with regard to the materials products are made of, but above all design sustainability. By which I mean that these are doors we still have in our catalogue. They have been in our catalogue for 20 years. And so I refer to a design sustainability that can be described as timeless, quite.
On the subject of solutions that are certainly innovative but also a little out of the ordinary, the Libre door comes out, which was actually designed by Piero Lissoni.
Quando l'ho vista presentata al Salone Mobile sono rimasto molto sbalordito, perché...
When I saw it being presented at the Salone del Mobile, I was amazed because it looked more like a theater wing than a door. And so I wonder, where did the idea of this door come from? Did you leave the architect, in this case Piero, a free rein? Or did the product have to respond to the requirement of a particular design project?
Let's say that this door sprang from a desire for creativity in the interpretation of furnishing fixtures for the home, by which I mean surface finishes, floorings, storage elements, and doors. All those objects which dialogue with the building, with the architectural elements, and with the structure. If you like, it is a nice idea for conferring mobility and transformability to living spaces, which may be adapted to various rooms and various contexts.
Diciamo che effettivamente Pierluigi anche la funzionalità
We can actually say, Pierluigi, that the touchless function, along with this versatility, enabling us to open or close spaces, is nevertheless an important added value of this product.
Yes, it certainly is an added value. particularly at the present moment in time when there is a need to separate living spaces to suit various requirements and the times in which we use them. This is doubtless an important function which may be supported by a combined home automation technology to enable the programmed opening of the door or operated manually according to personal requirements, thus reflecting an all-round concept of flexibility in the way the home is used.
Well, you have been pioneers.
By chance,
Adesso è diventato effettivamente una fortuna per chi ha in casa o comunque nei propri spazi.
Those who have this type of product in their homes at the moment are certainly fortunate. Let's sidetrack a little and think back to the time of the lockdown and its various consequences. I seem to remember that quite recently a new project was launched digitally and then tested. Let's take a look at this video. It must be said that those who have not yet seen this project or who are seeing it for the first time will want to understand a bit more. So recently, the company has quite understandably approached the digital world.
Certainly, more than before. We have had to make the best of a bad job and try to enable all those who are or are unable to get about to visit our showroom. We are lucky enough to have a very fine exposition space located in an early 20th century building in a historic setting, which enables us to show our products in the atmosphere they create most effectively. So this tool we have previewed enables people to make an interactive visit to our showroom, complete with all relative product information and features. In brief, everything customers wish to know.
It is rather like entering the heart of the catalog, together with all the various specializations the company can offer.
E anche quindi tutte le varie particolari specializzazioni che l'azienda immagino abbia.
Exactly.
Ma c'è un'interazione anche con
But is there any interaction with whoever is on the other side, or is it a solo experience?
This project is the first step of a plan to address our clientele from a distance. We are developing ways of collaborating in remote with our customers in order to offer experiences of showroom visits also to dealers operating around the world. We will make a gradual transition from tools of this kind to a tool which provides the possibility to speak with an operator and therefore to configure various product features in the way of finish, size, and other characteristics.
un'amplificazione, diciamo, dei servizi e dell'interazione per
An
avvicinare.
extension of customer services and interaction to bring the company's partners and retailers even closer.
Basically, a tool to simplify the work of those who deal our products.
Okay, would you ever have expected digital business to become so important all of a sudden?
Diventasse un po' così importante.
Well, we all expected it, but rather lazily. Let's just say that recent events have enormously accelerated the need for certain decisions, which I believe will have a positive effect in the medium term on the entire economy.
I'd like to recount an anecdote. Seen as the Salone del Mobile had been cancelled, we got organised by having video conference calls with our distributors and agents in order to present the products and new releases we'd intended to display on the stand and which had now become impossible. And one of our agents said, "Alberto, if you had suggested setting up a digital agents meeting 1 month ago, I would have said you were mad." Now that I've experienced one, I have to say that the thought of spending money and time in transfers, travel, planes and trains to hold a meeting no longer makes sense. I think this is a question that we are all asking ourselves on a level that is a bit more macroeconomic and projected more or less worldwide. Frankly, looking back on it, I believe that until now our companies have just been drifting rather than acting, inertly applying innovation to the existing business. The revolution generated by this lockdown has greatly accelerated change not only on the side of producers, but also users, architects and visitors, obliging them to upgrade regarding IT skills. And that goes for me too. I believe this is something that will also accompany us in the future.
L'importante è non perdere di questa esperienza, non perdere questi
What counts most is to let this experience pass you by, not to miss the new chapters that are opening up. Also on how to widen and innovate all of the various methods of communication destined to benefit the entire sales network.
These can provide further support to the activities relating to the physical presentation of the products, which, in my opinion, will always be necessary in our industry, if only to compare manufacturing quality, product quality. We cannot do without this physical comparison. But this could take place all through the year instead of restricting it to the trade fair period, which is rather limited.
It is necessary to extend, or in any case, support the meetings that take place during trade fairs. Let's get back to the product. I would like to take another closer look with the help of a video.
J'adore les portes car c'est un moment. La porte, c'est pas un objet, c'est un moment, c'est une action, c'est le début d'une histoire.
Voilà.
Tu le sai domanda? No. Ah, ok.
Sorpresa.
Sorpresa.
È la più difficile questa. Questa è veramente la più difficile.
Ce seront des portes qui seront sûrement plus intelligentes que nous.
Beh, diciamo che anche questo video ci fa entrare un po' più nella storia dell'azienda e anche di questa relazione un po' aperta.
Well, we can say that this is another video that enables us to delve into the history of the company. Along with this open-ended relationship, Lualdi has cultivated from the outset with most of the great protagonists of the Milanese upper middle classes and the entire world of architecture and design. In particular, I am thinking of Vico Magistretti and Anna Castelli Ferrieri. Earlier, Alberto mentioned Luigi Caccia Dominioni, but I would also like to recall Ignazio Gardella, Roberto Menghi, and Marco Zanuso, therefore a cornerstone with respect to Lualdi, which has enabled and contributed to create part of Italian design history.
Certainly. It has to be said that our experience with architects is our greatest asset. In fact, if we consider the products, especially those in our catalog, which is certainly an impressive volume, those are only a minor part of the solutions we have developed for numerous one-off projects. Therefore, we have been educated and have become accustomed to the collaboration with these architectural practices and the creation of the perception of our company as an extension of their work. Indeed, being able to approach the design project together with the producer is a plus for certain architects, which entails the possibility to discuss the details well ahead of time, even before talking about the product itself or about the commercial aspects of it. They present their project to us, and, generally speaking, in the first meeting we have with the architects, we listen and they describe to us in detail. Then, in the case of some finished products we are going to see soon, we would like to show you what it really means when a product is generated organically as a building, as if it were an integral part of the latter, the organ of an architectural structure.
Interesting.
Ti riferisci perché io so che comunque rispetto a questi storici nomi del design e dell'architettura più recentemente.
What are you referring to? Because I know that apart from the historic names in design and architecture, in more recent times, in the last 20 years, we have witnessed the work of Piero Lissoni as well as Marco Piva, David Rockwell, and also Philippe Stark, if I'm not mistaken. So a collaboration with any one of these archive stars may hold a good many secrets.
One project which has marked an important turning point for us, was the construction of the IBRD headquarters, the bank that was set up for the reconstruction of Eastern European countries after the Berlin Wall came down. There was a European consortium, French and English mainly, represented by Jean-Louis Berthet of France and Cyril Gibson of the UK, who handled the interiors, but the architectural building project was by Skidmore, Owings and Merrill of the United States.
Yes.
Inside the building, a shape had been stamped onto the doors recalling the appearance of the building itself, a sort of recognizable trademark. It is a curved door on the side of the corridor, flush with its casings, which houses all of the cables. There was no Wi-Fi at the time. With floating floors and suspended ceilings, it was necessary to have a door with a technological development, and no one knew how to produce it. I still remember that the architect who had designed it sent us a fax. The door was 1.5 meters long, so we received a fax that was 1.5 meters long.
It can't be true.
I swear, it came out of the fax machine slowly. Out it came, inch by inch, and then I finally saw it drawn on a scale of 1 to 1.
He was really keen to have it.
He had his heart set on it. And I have to say that this is exactly the part we play. The role we play with architects and designers is to make their dreams come true. An architect we worked with in the past told me with regard to his work and profession, "We have dreams on behalf of third parties. Our clients outsource their dreams to us." So the most entertaining and stimulating part of our work is to make dreams possible and feasible. This is what inspires us.
There is always a bit of indirect creativity between you and your clients.
Beh, la matrice artigianale sicuramente si presta per le varie realizzazioni di prodotti, ma anche
The craft matrix certainly lends itself to the various product creations, as well as to custom-made projects. So how do you handle requests that may even be bizarre, if not impossible at times?
Let's say that our company is perfectly able to deal with this type of request. I believe that Italy, owing to the relatively small size of its enterprises, should specialize in this, that is to say, in satisfying the client's desire for uniqueness. It is in this sphere that we manage to exploit our craftsmanship to the fullest, also by advising the clients and modifying their requests accordingly. So, Italian production, which is highly fragmented and some divided into districts, has an enormous value in this respect, because each district serves the purpose of preserving skills and craftsmanship. If there is just one company operating in a particular area, when it closes, if it closes, everything ends. But if there is dynamic in which some companies close and others open in a given area, the skills of workers and technical operators may be put to good use by others. So, this is the best dimension, and we say that modern technology, fruit of digitalization, helps us to satisfy the need for customization, which is the exact opposite of mass production.
You used the term bizarre earlier. Which was the most difficult and astonishing project you have ever been involved in?
Once I had a request for a door that should have weighed about 4 tons, and the client was adamant that it had to be made in that way. So my job was very hard in trying to get him to change his idea. Convincing him to change the structure to make it weigh just 1 ton. The client was very obstinate, and to convince him, we had to point out that the floor would not have been able to bear a weight of 4 tons in one single spot. It was a pivot door. Finally, the solution was accepted, and it was produced in various sections, while the very heavy version had been requested in one piece. Consequently, it was then possible to assemble the door on site to the complete client's satisfaction and approval.
So Lualdi won, client 0. Lualdi won the
No,
match.
1-1. It has to be a draw.
Allora, facciamo una piccola parentesi. Quindi ci avete raccontato abbastanza approfonditamente le origini, la progettualità di Lualdi. Adesso però io vi porto in un momento un po' sliding.
So let's digress a little. You have filled in quite a few details with regard to your origins and the Lualdi design concept. Now I'm going to offer you a sliding doors experience. So it's back to doors, but we're going to close a small door associated with the company itself and open up a large door onto a different scenario. I'm going to ask you a few short questions. They all begin with, what would have happened if? Let's see what comes out of this little game. Are you ready?
Go.
Go on.
I see you looking a bit worried.
Partiamo da Alberto.
Let's start with Alberto.
Cosa sarebbe successo se...
What would have happened if your surname had not been Lualdi, but Luti?
Avrei pensato di fare una porta in materiale plastico.
E invece Pierluigi...
Now for Pierluigi. What would have happened if your great-grandfather had sold everything and gone off to Bali?
I would have become a baker like my other grandfather.
Ah, something completely different. Your turn, Alberto.
Alberto, cosa sarebbe
What would have
successo
happened if the Roman Empire had never fallen?
I would have moved to Rome.
Cosa sarebbe successo, Alberto?
What would have happened, Alberto or Pierluigi, if Italy had not won the match of the century with a 4-3 score against Germany?
I would have started to cry.
Did you actually watch it?
When I was very young.
I saw it. I was with my father, and I remember how disheartened we were as fans of Milan to have conceded a goal scored by Schnellinger, who played in the Milan team when Carraro and Sordillo, who were presidents of Milan, were among our clients. I had access to the field like the photographers, and conceding a goal to Schnellinger in that final was no less than torture.
Luckily, it ended the way it did. Instead, what would have happened if you hadn't taken part in this interview today?
A questa intervista.
I would have been bored in the office.
Grazie. Bene, vuol dire che la...
Well, thank you. That must mean that there have been some good vibes. What would have happened if I had got you to play embarrassing games throughout this episode instead of talking about the company?
Well, that's normal. That's what we do every day at work.
La prossima volta segniamoci che gli facciamo...
Good. Let's take note of that and get him to do something embarrassing next time. What would have happened if your children or cousins had refused to work in the company?
We would have continued to do what we like doing and would have created a team with the same passion.
Perfect. What would have happened and what would you have missed out on without the COVID pandemic?
A lot of music.
Having my daughter at
Playtime is over. Now let's be serious again. I would like to go back to talking about Lualdi and this particular approach to design. I refer in particular to the case history of the Qatar Foundation and Qatar National Library. I think the direction can show us a couple of images of this splendid project.
Questa splendida realizzazione. Pierluigi, si può raccontarci magari qualcosa?
Pierluigi, can you tell us something more with regard to its development?
Certainly. These two projects stand just a few meters from each other and now represent two iconic buildings of Doha. The fun part is that it was not even possible to draw up an estimate of the contents of these objects, and neither did anyone know how to go about it. As is often the case, you need to start from an estimate in order to construct something, and sometimes you hit it on the nail, and sometimes you are less accurate. But these products presented us with a huge challenge, because the designer had a very clear-cut requirement in terms of aesthetics, but the technical feasibility was not equally clear. So, we were able to have plenty of time and take advantage of the active collaboration of the entire site team, which involved many different companies and a really vast project organizational chart. It was all very stimulating and great fun. There were regulatory issues and structural problems to solve. All in all, our project, possibly two of the most interesting projects I have ever handled.
But with regard to projects in general, how much is the contract segment worth to you?
Its value is a variable percentage with a fluctuating curve, because projects like these often entail large volumes. However, the contract business certainly represents an important share of our production.
With regards to contract business, but also more in general, are there certain markets on which you are more active and others where you would like to strengthen your positioning?
Yeah, the markets on which we're most actively engaged are certainly the American and Russian markets. In recent years, the Asian markets, primarily China, have grown in importance, particularly among a consumer target in search of authentic products of the Made in Italy label, which means high-quality design and engineering. This is an area we have been focusing on with great deal of attention lately, also in terms of product customization, I would add. In this respect, I would mention some areas of Africa where there is a wealthy target increasingly interested in high-quality, custom-made Italian products, which enable the inclusion of a unique product in a project. And this is no arduous task for us, because they derive from basic products already in production, which are relatively simple to personalize. The result is gratifying and, above all, enables the developer to personalize a project and the investor buying the apartments to receive a customized product.
How important is it for Lualdi to have their own local monobrand showrooms?
I would say that it's essential because cultivating relations with architects and designers obviously requires an assiduous presence, a constant presence. For this reason, we have opened offices in the UK and in Hong Kong, dedicated to promoting our products with architectural firms, and also to be closer to our target markets. Both of them are design hubs, one for the Asian area and another for the English-speaking European and African countries, with plans to extend them further with an opening in California at Los Angeles.
While in New York and Miami, as here in Milan, you're present with a mono-brand showroom?
Yes, since 2005 we have our own branch with 2 showrooms, one in New York and another in Miami, whose dedicated team manages the US and South American markets.
Diciamo che con una presenza così selettiva anche un po' dei punti geografici nel mondo, abbiamo anche un po' chiuso il cerchio del posizionamento del brand in giro per il mondo. Oggi quindi abbiamo più che approfondito la conoscenza con Alberto e con Pierluigi rispetto alla Lualdi, anche scoprendo aneddoti e segreti che forse tra
Well, with such a selective presence of locations around the world, we also have recapped the international brand positioning. So, with today's session, we got to know Alberto and Pierluigi better with regard to Lualdi, and have also been told some anecdotes and secrets that you probably weren't aware of. It has, of course, been a great pleasure to have you here with us, to trace back the history of the company to when it was first set up, a story that has enabled the brand to become so well known and appreciated in the world of interior design, also thanks to the creative and innovative spirit which has always accompanied its development, transforming the actual door concept, as we mentioned earlier, from mere accessory to an integral and complementary element of the entire interior design project. I thank you once again and hope that you have enjoyed yourselves.
Yes, a great deal. Thank you very much, Paolo.
Maybe next time we'll be better organized and have that little playtime during the session.
Kind of bizarre.
With pleasure.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks to you too.
And thank you to all those who have been watching. Continue to follow us on the Indeho platform.